Now that we've talked about the chassis, the body, everything like that, it is time to move on to the star of the show. We've got the Labrie 31-yard Automizer side-loading refuse truck. Let's get into the details. Hey everyone, it is Josh with Premier Truck Sales and Rental. Thank you for coming back along this week. I'm really excited to dive into the body of this truck. As we start to look at this, your eyes drawn to this big space there and you think, okay, it's a refuse truck. It's big flat side, pretty simple. What I want to draw your attention to is this. All of this is where really it can go very right or very wrong. Everything here is a control for something. And that is all geared towards making you more efficient. So let's dive into some of these. I mean, we've got a ton to talk about. We're really gonna start with the body in general first and work our way around that. A little later, we'll talk about the arm. So the system itself has a lot of great componentry to it. There's the arm, which is what's going to reach out and grab the cans, but we're going to talk about the hopper and the bin and what all we can do with those. Now, the bin is a 6.5-yard bin. Now, this is a 31.5-yard truck, and the compactor that we have in here is what makes it so, yes, you can put 31.5 yards of stuff in a 6.5-yard bin. Now there's a lot of great design features in this that make it so once again we can stick with that theme of comfort, efficiency, and safety. One of the things that I love is the door right here. This is set up with a flange to it. So that way we've all opened doors like this, especially when there's water in there and gotten wet feet. This takes any water and points it back away from you until you get it drained out. It's just a great way to make sure that you don't end up with soggy feet. We know you're looking for trouble-free operation, so this has a 1-year warranty on it. That first year is so critical in making sure that this truck is out making money for you. In that, if there's an issue down the road, there is Labrie Plus, which is a 24/7 customer service network. Speaking of networks, there are 45 top-tier distributors in the US and Canada. So let's talk about the actual can itself here. So there's a lot of great features when you look into this one giant piece of smooth steel. And that's the first part of the design that I want to talk about. It is one giant flat piece of smooth steel. There's no seams, there's no welds, there's nothing to break in that. There's not another wear point. It's just smooth. That means you're going to get much better life out of this. On top of it, the steel itself is an AR450 hard-ox steel. Now that means that you get basically a 5% weight reduction because the steel's hard enough, it can be a little bit thinner. On top of that, you are less likely to damage the floor. Once again, all these things add up to more time out on the road and less time getting repairs. As we look at another piece of this, there's actually a taper. So think of it as a funnel that is upside down. That way there's nothing to catch. When you lift this body to dump it out, everything's going to slide out because there's nothing to catch. It is all a straight shot out. That design also makes it so there is more room at the very back so it can carry more of the load back there and you can get more refuse in the can itself. All these are these little incremental steps that add up to make a huge, huge difference. Yep, somehow I squeezed myself in here because this right here is something that I really want to talk about. Now, it may just look like a standard hydraulic cylinder, and it kind of is. The fact that this entire body lifts up and tilts for you to dump out the refuse is a huge time saver. These trucks use basically a half or a quarter floor packer, meaning it's only a certain height. So rather than having to run that a number of times to push the refuse out, the bed tips up like a dump truck. You pull up, you unlatch the tailgate, you lift up the bed, the refuse is out, you're back on the road and ready to go. And you're sure that everything is emptied out of the bed. To me, it's this time saver, it's this ease of use that really adds a tremendous amount of value to this truck. So there are a lot of great things to point out here at the back of the truck. There's the bumper back here. There's reverse lights, brake lights. All of these are LED. Up behind me there, we've got some bright LED floodlights to make sure that everything's illuminated there. And one of the cameras from the 3-camera system is up top there too. We'll talk about the camera here in a little bit. When you look at how this is put together, it's all put together very much for strength and durability. And one of the biggest things that you can notice with that right off the bat is when you go around the truck and look at the hydraulic cylinders, like for instance this one, the resting position, the piston of the hydraulic cylinder is closed and protected from the elements. The same thing happens up front with the dump cylinder. The cylinders in their resting position are closed and protected from the elements. That is to make sure that you are going to get the longest life that you can out of that hydraulic system. Just another way to keep you out on the road. Speaking of hydraulics, that is the perfect spot for me to stop this week, because next week it's all about the hydraulics, and that's what we're going to talk about then. So do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications bell to make sure that you know when that video comes out. If you've got a question or a comment, put it below. We would love to hear from you. By all means, give us the thumbs up. I will see you guys next week. Stay safe out there.